Hi friends, today we're doing Unit 9, Lesson 9, John Cabot Part 2. We don't have any vocabulary today, so we're going to go straight into our reading. Chapter 8, John Cabot. John Cabot, known as Giovanni Caboto in his native Italy, had the same dream as Columbus, to reach Asia by sailing west. However, unlike Columbus, Cabot thought the best chance of reaching Asia would be to sail around the northern part of Earth, where the distance around would be substantially shorter than the distance at the equator. Cabot, like other explorers, wanted to find the Northwest Passage, which was thought to be a shorter route west from Europe to Asia. Finding a shorter route to Asia meant finding a shorter route to spices. Many details of Cabot's life and voyages are unknown. He did not keep recordings during his voyages, nor was much written about his life. However, it is known that he was Italian and had support from King Henry VII of England for his voyages. King Henry VII gave Cabot a charter to explore and claim land for England. This is an image of John Cabot. Cabot made his first attempt to find the Northwest Passage in 1496. This attempt was a failure. He had a disagreement with some members of his crew. There was also a shortage of food, and he ran into bad weather. Cabot decided to turn back for England. Cabot tried again in 1497 with a single ship and a crew of 18. This time he reached land, which he thought was Asia. However, this land turned out to be the coast of North America. It is not known exactly where he first sighted land, though. It may have been the coast of Newfoundland. Cabot spent a short time exploring the coast, and it is possible that he sailed as far south as the Chesapeake Bay. During this voyage, Cabot found a large area of shallow water that was abundant with fish. This area, known as the Grand Banks, is still one of the best fishing areas in the world today. At any rate, Cabot and his men became one of the first European expeditions to see the landmass now known as North America. The circled area is the Grand Banks. Cabot sailed back to England with his news, certain that he had found a new, shorter route to Asia. Cabot gained support for another much larger expedition. This expedition left England in 1498, but it never returned. Nobody knows for certain what happened to Cabot and his men. In time, it became clear that Cabot had not, in fact, located the Northwest Passage. However, England based its later claim to North American territory on Cabot's explorations. When Cabot had first sighted land, he had gone ashore and claimed it for England. Cabot's exploration began England's desire to explore and create settlements in North America. This is the route Cabot intended to take to find the Northwest Passage. Do you think you could be a sailor on Cabot's ship? Here's a description of what it might be like to be a young sailor. On a ship, young boys served as pages. On land, a page worked for a knight. At sea, he worked for a captain. Pages did all sorts of odd jobs. They carried messages, mopped the deck, helped pass out food, and cleaned up after meals. Older boys might be asked to work the bilge pumps. Even the best ships sometimes sprang a leak. If a ship leaked too much, it might sink. To keep that from happening, sailors had to pump water out of the ship using a bilge pump. This was a terrible job. The bilge water was disgusting, it smelled bad, and it made the sailors sick. After pumping bilge water all day, it would have been great to sit down to a nice warm meal. Unfortunately, sailors did not get many warm meals. For most meals, they got hardtack. This is a picture of a bilge pump used in Cabot's time. Hardtack was a kind of bread that was baked over and over. Hardtack was so hard it was tough to eat. Sailors had to soak it in a drink to soften it up. The good thing about hardtack, though, was that it would not spoil on a long voyage. It was so hard, bugs had trouble getting into it, unless it got wet. Once it got wet, weevils and other bugs could and did get into it, but you could usually see them and brush them off with your fingers. If a voyage was going well, sailors might get other kinds of food. They might get a little salted meat now and then, they might get some fish or a few beans, but if supplies were running low, they might get nothing but hardtack. The diet on sailing ships was so bad that many sailors got sick. Lots of them got a disease called scurvy. Today we now know that scurvy is caused by a lack of vitamin C, found in fresh fruits and vegetables. In the age of exploration, people did not know this. So many sailors died. This is a picture of hardtack. This was the bread that they were eating. After a long day of work, sailors were ready to fall into bed and rest their aching bones. They were ready, but there were no beds for them to fall into. Captain had a bed to sleep in, but the sailors did not. They slept on the deck. As the ship rolled back and forth with the waves, the sailors rolled with it. Most sailors had to stand watch for part of the night. When that was done, they could sleep for a few hours. In the morning, they would get up and do it all over again. A sailor's day started bright and early. So what do you think? Does a sailor's life sound good to you? Sailors stood watch on the platform high up on the mast, so they would probably stand watch up here in these areas. You may now move on to Unit 9, Lesson 9, Google Form.